And you're now live.
Thank you, Aisha. So welcome everybody to our FBS Chat with John Brooker, who's joined us from Northwest London. Not too far from us, John.
No,
Thank you so much for joining us. I always kind of start with everyone that we talk to about how they came across the solution-focused approach and how it sort of changed their way of working.
or change their life, actually, is another way of looking at it, I suppose. Excuse me, sorry, a bit of a cough. I came across it in 2004. I was on a facilitation course, kind of year-long facilitation course, and Mark McCurgo, who everyone in SF world knows, he came along to give us a half day on solution focus. And he's a brilliant presenter. He was telling us about it, and I was just sitting there. And I've been trained. I'm an ex-Air Force technician, and so I've been trained in problem focus and all the rest. And I've done a few other courses where I've been trained even more in problem focus. And I just sat there. It was like a pain in my chest. And this is absolutely true. It was like a pain in my chest. It was, this cannot be right. You have to understand the problem. And by the end of the day, he'd answered all my questions really well because he's so good at that. And I thought, I'm going to read his book. So that's what I did. I read the book and just thought, A, this makes a huge amount of sense. And B, actually, when I was a leader in an organization, I did quite a lot of this, but I never realized that's what I was doing. So immediately, in that first year of learning about solution focus and reading the book, I just introduced it into what I do, which is I facilitate collaboration. And I was lucky in that I was an MBA tutor as well, so for the Open University. And so I was able to test out things on the students. And that was a really good testing bed. So I went, wow, this works. And I just introduced it with clients, and it worked really well. And I just decided after about a year to go and get trained and find out what I was doing wrong. And actually found out I was doing quite a lot right, but there was still a lot to learn because it is simple. In terms of you can ask questions, solution focused way, but actually there's a lot of depth underneath it. And I think that's something sometimes people don't recognize. But you absolutely can, pick up the book just as I did and use it. It's just great from that point of view.
It's funny because when me and Aisha were first trained by Brief, it was a similar sort of thing. It's like, how can you not need to know the problem side of it? How can we so when did that pain in the chest, when was that moment where that pain in the chest started to go, you know what, this actually makes sense?
It was reading the book and then trying out, obviously. And as I tried it out and I realized people were responding in a different way, then that really helped. And that's when it kind of evaporated that pain in my chest, as it were, and it just disappeared. But the good thing is, having been trained in problem focus, I always say to people, we're not trying to replace problem focused questions. It's just knowing the right context in which to use them, and that's really important.
And how did you know it was helpful for your students when you started to ask those different types of questions on your course?
I think the feedback they were saying, oh, that's different. Particularly when you ask the scaling questions, and when you say, so what's got you up to there, and they immediately tell you what's going wrong, and and you say, yeah, that's great, but what actually got you up to there? And they, okay, that's a different question. So I think you see, actually in their faces, you see a kind of realization that it's slightly different. What are they doing here? And excuse me. And it just, I think from that, and then feedback of, oh, this is really good. And then when I started using it with clients, and they would say, I mean, I never used to say I'm doing solution focus. So they would come up to me afterwards or at lunchtime and say, what is it you're doing? And that was always kind of nice when that happened. So yeah, and I've had clients, went with same clients for many years doing that.
So who was your client base at the time, John, when you started to use that approach on them?
Actually, I mean, I had a huge amount of work. I used to work for Visa, in the payment cards, the international payment card organization rather than a bank. And so when I left Visa after about 16 years, I went out on my own to do creative thinking. I got inspired by my MBA course that I ended up tutoring. And I decided to go out and do that. And I, by chance, got a contract with Visa to do all of their induction. And that lasted something like 12 years for not only the staff around the world, but banks as well. So not around the world, but Europe, Middle East, Africa. So I was traveling a lot with that. And so I didn't do quite as much of the creative stuff as I started to do. But what I did was introduce solution-focused type questions into my induction training. So that really helped as well. It makes it just a lot more relaxed. It makes it a lot more, the word I got in my head is freeing, but I'm not sure if that's a word. But it was, from that point of view, different for them. Especially when I was working in places like Africa or in Russia or Ukraine, places like this, where they were used to different kinds of training. The teacher stands at the front and tells you, and you absorb. So for me, that was a really nice thing to be able to do. And then, I've just had lots of clients over the years. So Airbus and British Telecom and, pharmaceutical companies. Just I don't specialize in one area, just had lots of different ones. So lots of interesting companies actually to work with.
And how did it translate? Because it sounds like you're well traveled. You've been to all different parts of the world.
Yeah, I guess in Visa it was from when I joined Visa in 1985. God, that sounds like a long time ago, doesn't it? After I left the Air Force, and just the travel just started from there. So I've just been used to it. Really, it's just normal in my life up until 2020.
And was it? Did you find that regardless of the country you're in or the culture that you're in, it was still something that was relevant and useful?
Well, solution focus, yeah, absolutely. It's because you can use it anywhere. I mean, literally, I've used solution focus in China. I've used solution focus in Japan, Africa, and it just works. And it transcends cultures. I don't think I can't prove it, but I don't think there's a culture in the world that does not find that solution focus is very helpful. And I think there are some cultures that work with it better. I tend to find Central European countries, for example, are really accepting of solution focus. Not quite as much in Britain, really. And I don't know if that's an Anglo-Saxon thing or, an American sort of Anglo-Saxon thing, whatever. But it just, some cultures seem to adopt it more, but I haven't found anywhere where it doesn't work. And that's the key thing. So, yeah. So
in the UK, you felt that it was slightly different the way it was I don't know, acknowledged, or
I just think the whole, maybe I'm completely wrong here, I don't know, but my intuition of my experience, which is from my experience, is just that in the UK we're more problem focused. We have a good problem in the UK, don't we? Because then we can, turn around and we can beat it. We'll beat this problem. Come on, everyone, let's pull together. And so, from that point of view, it's more of a hero culture, I think. Whereas on the continent, I think there's more of this collaboration, and the more you go north of Scandinavia, I think it's even more so.
Was in your travels, John, was there a company that you worked with, or a particular sort of day that stood out for you, that you felt that this is exactly the right way, but there was just something special about it?
Yeah, the one in China actually was, I'd been asked to go out, and they were having issues. It was I won't say the nationality, because it might sound as if I'm being a bit rude to them, but it was a European African company with a Chinese, a large Chinese staff as well. They had an office in China, etc. And they wanted me to go out because they found that the Chinese weren't contributing ideas, they weren't speaking up very much, etc., etc. They wanted me to go out and train them how to, do all those things. And I said, not sure that's the right way to do it. Let's get people from, the company, the head office kind of company in there, and in that meeting, and let's just talk about what we want, what we want our collaboration to be like. So I went out there. It was in a fabulous location. I think it was the Judge Institute, something like that. And it was just 2 days where it was really working well, and we just did it differently from the start, and I think that took people aback. And everybody joined in, all the Chinese people joined in, and everyone, and it became just I call it a microculture. We set up, what we do as facilitators, as leaders of collaboration, we kind of create safety and trust and a way of working together, and I call that a microculture. And because that transcends the wider culture of Chinese culture, African, European culture, etc. So that's what you have to do when you've got multinational people coming together. You need to create a culture for them. And so I know some people don't like that word culture, but it's if we call it safety and trust, then that trust to be able to speak out is really important. So that's I think that's one of probably the most important part of our job. And I really enjoy that. And within the first hour, people are really working well together. And that's when you're succeeding. And the joy with Solution Focus is, to be honest, I can count on the fingers of three fingers probably, of ones that didn't go well. Where I just thought, not sure that really worked. And that actually, I always wondered after, was it just me, did something wrong, or was it solution focus? And actually, it wasn't solution focus. There was other factors that were causing it not to work as well. And me, of course, because you can't always get it right, I guess. But 3 in 20 years isn't bad. So, So I'm very happy with that success rate. But when it does happen, you think, oh, what happened here? There was one where I know it was me, and it was just I was expecting one outcome that what they'd asked for, and then the group changed it, and it just we got there. We actually achieved what everyone wanted, but it was a very painful day. Very painful day.
A very long day, no doubt.
Oh, it was 2 days actually. So it was a very long 2 days. But we got there. Yeah.
So how do you when you first go in, what's the best way to sort of get this micro culture, the juices flowing or the ideas flowing, that they're part of,
Literally, I use the same approach all the time. I just change the activities that we use, particularly if you're working with the same team, then it gets boring if you just do the same things. But yeah, I can say is the first thing I do is I immediately get them talking. So I always send out a brief with details about me in it. And then on the day I say, hi, I'm John, and you've read about me in the brief. And if they haven't read about me in the brief, well, great. I immediately get them talking. So they do an exercise. I get them talking about something that they can talk about very easily, their favorite holiday or whatever it is. We do that in a special way. And then I get them to talk about their best hopes. And nowadays I do it as best hopes, or sometimes what would be the best outcome from today for you. And then that gets them thinking about the future of the day and what they really want from it. And then I get them setting their own guidelines. So what's the guidelines for the day? How are we going to work together? So they tell me how they're going to work together, and they tell me how I should work with them. And yes, if I look back, and I could look back because I've got the reports for most of my meetings, you could pinpoint certain things like, let's be engaged and let's be in the room. But sometimes that reveals things that you never thought of. I always remember being in a government one where they said, you must be politically correct. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. I'm just wondering, what's your level of politically correct? So that was an interesting one. And that's it. So within those three exercises, activities, and then I get them thinking about why have we done this, and just get them to understand. The other thing I'm doing while I'm doing that is, the first exercise is in pairs, the second exercise in threes, the third exercise in fours. They're moving around, they're changing around all the time, so they're meeting nearly everyone in the room. And it's just, it works. I mean, if I give you a story, is I was working for a finance company, and they had two subcontractors from India. And the manager said to me, John, just want you to know we have two Indian subcontractors. They won't contribute ideas. They never do in our meetings. If they do, they'll come up afterwards and tell us, but they won't contribute in the meetings. And at tea break, he came up to me and he said, what have you done? And he said that they're contributing ideas. They're participating totally. And that for me was a real kind of eye-opener to say, this is about safety and trust. That they trusted that it was okay to speak, which the first exercise absolutely tells you. It's we want you to speak. And then we want to know what you want, and we want to know how you want to run the day. So those are things. And when I'm training people in facilitation or in my approach, then those are the things I show them how to do.
And I think it's when you were saying, like, in groups of two, groups of three, and move around, because I know me and Aisha used to work in schools, and there was often different departments, and we became sort of engrossed in our own way of working in our own departments, and it kind of very rarely sort of had that opportunity to talk as a whole group and find out what we all wanted and what we were contributing to that success. So that must be interesting, getting them to mix up like that and get the ideas.
Yeah, and you can do that. I mean, the biggest one I've run on my own is 90 people. Wow. And you just, that's all you do. You just keep dividing and and splitting and moving them around, and it just gets people understanding each other more. And the other big factor, what it does is, if you ever run a facilitation course, the biggest question you get, or I ever get, is how do you shut up the people who never stop talking. The ones, the opinionated ones.
The Joes of the world.
Sorry?
Oi.
The Joes of the world.
The Joes of the world. Yeah, sorry. I set you up for that one.
I just jump in when I can like that.
Yeah. But those kind of people, they're very opinionated. If you're putting people in pairs, and then you're putting them in a different group next time, and then a different group next time, they very quickly realize that they're just a small voice in a small team rather than a big voice across the whole team. So you reduce that opportunity, and that's really what I show people is you've got nothing to worry about with those people, because even if they bore people, they'll only bore them for 10 minutes while they're in that small group, and then they move on. Yeah. And what's interesting in the rules, one I said about things that come up quite often is hear more than one voice. Yeah. So that comes up quite a lot. And I've done a couple of sessions in schools, in one school in particular, and we had a great time. They loved solution focus. Schools is a fantastic place for solution focus. It's a different way of talking to the young people. Yes, it's just it just really helps in schools, I think. So, and teachers are very open to it. I think teachers, by their nature, they're naturally always looking for something that can help it make the best experience for young people. Okay, again, not every teacher, but the majority of teachers, and certainly the ones who turned up on a weekend. Two Sundays that we ran them, or 2 Saturdays, whatever. It was 20 people turned up for each one, and 20 different people for each one. It's amazing how they really wanted to participate.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, John, what haven't you done? Sorry, Joe. Like this.
What haven't you done, John?
It's like speaking to Owen. Have you ever had a good conversation with Owen?
Owen?
Yeah, God.
Owen Charnley?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I haven't. No. But
have a conversation with him, and it's like, oh yeah, and I did this. Oh yeah, and I did that. Oh yeah, and I did this. And you're the same. It's like, Yeah,
he was in the Air Force a bit longer than me, though.
Yeah, no, but honestly, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the Air Force that gets us thinking about doing.
No, but you're quite an inspiring person to listen to.
Oh, thank you for that. That's very kind. That's always the hardest thing. When you ask them, what can I do to make the day better or workshop better, they say, be inspiring. And that's always my biggest. No
pressure.
If you set out to be inspiring, actually, it's probably not going to work because it's not going to come out congruently. But I'm really lucky. I absolutely love what I do. If I'm absolutely honest, the Air Force was a fantastic institution and great, but I was not the best airman in the world. I was not the best technician in the world in terms of being in the Air Force, and it was a bit painful, and I found it boring. So to come out into civilian life and join a company, I actually joined a German company first who were brilliant, and then joined Visa, which was just fantastic. It was just like this whole new world. They made you feel like you could do anything. Literally chucked so much responsibility on you. With authority as well, which was good. So it was, I think Visa really injected a huge amount of confidence into me, and getting my MBA as well.
Hold on. What MBA?
Sorry?
MBA?
The course.
The course, Masters in Business Administration. Sorry, I did that while I was at Visa, and that gives you a huge amount of confidence that you can actually pass something like that with a full-time job as well, traveling, all those things. So and for me, I guess I got a lot of the confidence because I left school with, I think, 2 O levels, if you can remember, GCSE they call them now, One was British Constitution, so I can tell you why. I can tell you why all our police forces are split into counties, but not a lot else. And I think I got English grade 1 CSE, for those who are old enough to remember those things. So I didn't have a huge amount of qualifications from that.
I remember those. I remember O levels, John, and I remember being at school when CSEs first came in.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So,
what is a CSE?
A certificate of secondary education.
Okay, just saying because I'm not of that age group.
It was the one below O level. So if I think the idea was if you weren't good enough for O levels, they put you through CSEs. I have to say I got grade 5 CSE in woodwork. So that's about as low as you can get.
So how
I'm not very academic at all.
Joe, can we just read Wendy's?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Wendy, our lovely Wendy, John doesn't realise how inspiring he is, so it's great that you made him realise it. Says another inspiring person.
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy is hugely inspiring, actually. So, certainly inspires me.
I was just because I know you said I don't know how long you were in the Air Force for, but you came out into civilian life, and for some people that can be really tricky process, being in the military and then now I'm in the wide world. How did you get into facilitating courses for businesses from the Air Force?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the transition from the military. I joined at 16, so it was you become a bit institutionalized, I guess. And I left when I was 27, so I did 11 years, and I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I had no idea what it was going to be like. I was coming out of the early 80s. And as I say, I hadn't done brilliantly well in the Air Force. I left with junior rank. And I was terrified. So I then joined this German company, and I did a government retraining course, actually. And then I joined the German company, did 2 years with them, and then moved because I didn't want to relocate to where they wanted me to, and joined Visa. And then I got my MBA at the same time, the same month as I got my final promotion in Visa. And I kind of reached where I wanted to reach, and I was like, what do I do now? And then by chance, I saw the Open University were looking for tutors for the course that I absolutely loved, which was creativity and innovation. And so I kind of went along to them and kind of said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I did head of training for 18 months, which I hated. Can I say that? And then I set up what they called member education, so banks, educating banks, and I did that for 5 years. But I had tons of experience with presenting, but then when working with the students, and I just found I really loved facilitating. So that really was how I got into facilitating groups. And then an opportunity came up to take voluntary redundancy with Visa. So I thought, I could stay here and have a very good job and a very good pension, or I can take the risk and jump. And so I jumped, and I don't regret it at all. It was a great company to work for. As I say, I worked again for them. I think I stopped working with them in 2017. I had a lot of my life invested in Visa, and it was a great company. But going out on my own was a really good decision.
Yeah. Is that why your new book's called Jump Now, John? Is that a nice little segue into the title?
Joe, that's a really nice thought. I didn't let's jump. I guess I was jumping all the time. That's a really interesting thought. I'd never thought of that. Truly, I'd never thought of that. Yeah, Jump Now. yeah, what I wanted to do was, I wrote a book on innovation back in 2013 and how you can facilitate innovation. And I guess I'd been doing solution focus for so long. I just wanted to do a book on solution focus. And that's what I set out. I mean, Wendy, who's my book buddy, she can tell you that when I set out, it was going to be a book on solution focus. Right. And then I was in Hungary one night back in 2016, and I was going to present a new metaphor that I'd come up with. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and thought, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's not just about solution focus. It's actually about collaboration and using solution focus to make collaboration work. And that's what I do. So I have all of this facilitation stuff, and I kind of combined it with solution focus to create, great collaboration, really. So that's what it's all about, and that's what the book's about. So the first half of it is about using a metaphor of DNA, the DNA metaphor, but going deeply into it. So looking at the components of DNA, and then I took 6 characteristics from that, which I applied to solution focus and to facilitating solution focus, so leading solution focus. And then from that, and Wendy can tell you that was a very painful process. And then from that, I talk about how does that help us, the use of pace, the use of space, and different things. And then, so that's the first part of the book. It's about what have you got to have, the outlook that you need. I know people tend to call it mindset. I wanted something that wasn't about between the ears. I wanted something that was looking outward, because for me, that's what solution focus is about. So it's about our outlook, and it's about our using solution focused questions and the patterns of questions that we use, how we use the questions in certain patterns, and then how we use pace and how we use space and that's mental space and physical space, and how we create that. And that's where the trust is more psychological trust, that safety, the mental space of safety. So that's the first part of the book. And then the second part of the book is, how do you do it? And I have a metaphor, and that's where the jump now comes from. I have a metaphor of parkour, which is free running. So if you've ever seen the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible film, where he's running over the tops of roofs in London and smashes a good chair through the window and all those kind of things, all around St. Paul's. It's taking that idea of the characteristics of parkour, the flexibility, the agility, the courage. There's tons of characteristics that you can look at, and bringing those out really, and saying, this is how, if you want to make your company collaboration really work, this is how you're going to have to do it, because everything's changing so fast. You only have to look at the current crisis and how companies have responded. Then, we need to have that agility to change. And so, can I show you there? It's not really polite. It's just, so we have this idea. This is the framework, which I call the free run framework. And it's people carrying out parkour over the rooftops of London. And so it's been a labor of love, a labor of love, really. I love solution focus. I love the people in solution focus. I made so many friends around Europe and around the world from solution focus, and it's fantastic. I just love being there. I used to do amateur dramatics, and I used to just love walking into a theatre, because the people were all like, they all had a very clear goal of what they wanted to achieve. And I find in solution focus, people have that kind of purpose to their lives, that they really want to make things happen, just like you guys are doing, So it's, So part 2 is all about how do you do it? It's the detailed, it's the 7 jumps, and then here's some ways that you can actually do those jumps. So that's it. So But it's so I've enjoyed it. It's getting printed next week. I'm really excited, and so it's good.
So I think you were saying earlier you got the first. Was that the first copy you got today, John?
No, it wasn't today. I got it a couple of weeks ago. This is what the printer sends out to you to check, to make sure that you're happy with how it's laid out and everything else. I mean, the designer does that for me, but the things go wrong in printing. If you've ever had a book printed, luckily I have not, but I've seen books. Well, it's about time you wrote one then, actually. That's my mission. What I'd love to see is every single person who practices solution focus to write a book with their view on solution focus. Because what I've tried to do in this book is build on the stuff that Mark and Paul put into solution focus. The book is build on their work, on Daniel Meyer's work, on Susan Bergstaller and Chris Iveson and all those people who have written books before, and just say, I want to do this, I want to put this over differently. And that's why I use the metaphors of DNA and the metaphor of Parker. So I wanted to say, it's about solution focus, but it's a different way of looking at solution focus. And I love metaphors. And it's, for me, it would be fantastic if everyone wrote a book. It doesn't have to be as long as mine, but it's just 50 pages on this is how I like to do SF, and this is how I see SF. It's a bit like, I guess, you're doing with these videos. You're pulling out all these different ways people are doing SF. So if we could do that, that would be fantastic. And I remember doing one of the FIKAs, these sessions we run with solution focus in organizations, and we did one on what book would you write on SF, and I think that was probably one of the most popular activities we had. Everyone was really involved in it and really talked about it, and they didn't want to come back. It was just like, no, we want to keep talking. So and I had a few emails after that saying so. I encourage everyone to write your own book, even if it's 30 pages. Stick a few illustrations in, make it big enough to be a book. So,
and where can I don't know if I missed it, but can people buy the book from Amazon?
They will be able to, but they can't at the moment. It's not until the printers get it printed and they've got a fulfillment capability. They can't put it on. So I decided that we'd launch in January. Apart from advance issues, so anyone who ordered in advance, I'll get some stuff off to them, but I'll get books off to them. But it's just.
I was just going to say, John, this has been a 2-year labour of love for you.
It has, I mean, Wendy was just on. Wendy, as I say, is my book buddy, and I think we're project buddies. We call ourselves now, really, because it's moving into the project stage more than just writing the book. And we kind of were on a course together on constellation work with Petra, and we just were doing this exercise in the afternoon, and we were just bouncing off each other, all these ideas coming out of each other, and blah, blah, blah. And we kind of said we should, be book buddies. Not, if I'm honest, I can't remember exactly how it came about, but that was it. I remember it was that occasion, and that was the best thing I've ever done in my solution focused life. I think was to say, I would love to be, or shall we be? I can't even remember who suggested it, but shall we be book buddies? And we became book buddies, and she published hers in June 2019. I think she might want to write and correct me on that, but I think it was June 2019. So, and I took, that's the one, clarity. And I was, feeding back to her, and it was just a great process. And she has been so encouraging, and just when you think your brain is steaming and I can't see a way through this, she would feed back ideas. And and that's what I'd recommend to anyone is have a book buddy, someone you get on with, and someone who can bounce ideas off would be the ideal book buddy, I think.
Don't you think we're in the SF community? I mean, I feel that I'm quite spoiled because we do have so many SF practitioners around the world that they're on tap. Just, give Wendy a call and she's like, yeah, no worries, let's do this, or give Tara a call or talk to you, or it's amazing.
It is amazing, yeah, and they're very giving. By the way, Joe did say before we came on that you were spoiled, but I don't know if that's true.
You're going to get me in trouble, John.
He would. It's all right. I've heard that 1,000 times. He calls me princess.
Calls you princess. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, you're being a princess. That's what he says. I mean, I need an SF practitioner for me. Sorry, go on, John.
Shall I tell you a little story about princess? This is so embarrassing. I was on a flight from Kuwait to I can't think where, somewhere else in the Middle East, and I was very lucky when I worked for Visa. They used to fly me business class, and I was sitting up front, and the lady next to me just said to me, "Oh, what do you do?" And I told her, and I said to her, "So what do you do?" And she said, "Well, actually, I'm a princess." And just this devil in me came out and said, "You must kiss a lot of frogs." And the next second, she jumped up, saw the stewardess, and moved. And I was so embarrassed. I would have apologized, but I don't think she would have accepted it. But it was just, it was mischievous and devilry. But anyway, so
funny.
Anyway, we were talking about the idea of solution focused community, and it was one of the big things I noticed when I joined the community was that everyone was so giving. And just you were sitting there in session. I went to a Soul World conference. I mean, my first one was in Köln in, I think it was 2007. Someone in Germany will probably correct me on that. And I just went, wow, because I didn't go to conferences. I used to hate conferences. I used to go to Visa conferences with Visa, and they were so boring. Visa didn't run them. They were just payment industry things. And it was tedious to sit there being presented to all the time. And suddenly you went into this environment where people were running workshops and giving you all this information, and you say, "Oh, is there any way I can find out? Oh, let me send you, I'll send you an article." So there was tons of just giving, and it kind of infects everyone. And that's, in a really nice way. It's a really nice infection to get, is this idea of just give, because when you give, you get so much more back. And I was delighted. A long-standing friend, I won't name it, but a long-standing friend of mine, last 40 years, who joined the community recently on me saying, "You should join this community." And one of the first things he said to me, or he wrote to me an email, was, "John, I can't believe how giving this group is." And so it's a real plus for us. Overall, I'd say the vast majority of solution focused people love to share, love to give their experience and advice. And that's what I say, write a book as well, so that all that experience and advice is recorded. So it's fantastic. So you're absolutely right, Aisha.
Since lockdown, we've invited people to come and have a chat with us, and everyone has been, no problem. Give us a time and a date, and we've heard such wonderful stories, and it just fills you with. It does fill you with hope, I think. But like you say, I think it's that looking for strengths maybe is something that connects us all. That we look for the strengths in each other, and we appreciate what we see and are willing to share it, because it's been, since lockdown, one of the biggest benefits is meeting people like you, John. and from all over the world, from Australia, joining us at silly hours in the morning, but so willing and just keen to share their experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really important. That's what we love. Yesterday I was doing the technology for an interview with Julia Kallenberg, actually, who's the coach for the Swiss junior sailing team, or solution focused coach for the Swiss sailing team. And it was just wonderful to hear these. We had the young people on as well, her coachees, and just wonderful to hear them talking about her and how she'd given them so much. And it was just lovely. So it's such an interesting thing to do what you're doing, because I do similar things, I guess, with the FIKAs and with the global chapters. So
talk to us about FIKA.
FIKA, yeah. Well, the idea actually is it came from Jonas Wells, of this parish, as we say, of this community. And I was just chatting to him, and I'd said, Jonas, for the 3rd of May, the SF World Day on the 3rd of May, 2019. Yeah, it was. So I had this idea for, let's just get everyone together for a coffee. We just have a coffee break, for 2 hours. And he said, well, yeah, it's in Sweden, we call them FIKA. And I thought, that's a much nicer name than coffee break, FIKA. So then he told me a little bit about it, and I looked it up, and it's a cultural thing in Sweden. I mean, really cultural, really embedded in the psyche of the nation. And I just thought, yeah, this works. So we did this FIKA on 1st of May in 2019, and it worked really well. And we just came up with lots of different things, and we had people phoning in from their events that they were doing. They'd come into Zoom as well. And then when the lockdown happened, I said to Annie, who's co-president with me of SFIO, I said, I'd really like to run a weekly FIKA, because we've got a lot of people who are I probably knew about half a dozen, I suppose, a lot, but we've got a lot of people who are in lockdown on their own. And it would be nice if they could connect into the community. And so we started it, and we got 20 people turned up, and we had a lot of fun, and we just kept doing them every week until the end of April, I think it was. So we did about 13 FIKAs. Then we ran another one again on SF World Day. And then we've moved to the monthly FIKAs, just on Sunday, first Sunday of every month. And they're just a great opportunity just to get together with solution-focused people and get re-energized, because I get huge amounts of energy from meeting up with solution-focused people. So
and you have to think really creatively when you join FIKA.
Sorry?
Because you have to really think creatively when you join a FIKA, Joe. Because all of a sudden, John will give you this task to do, and you're like, huh? And then you've got like 5 minutes to do it in a breakout room with whoever, usually Christiane or Wendy or someone. And you're like, God, how are we going to do this? And then, you end up doing it, and you have lots of fun doing it, but you've all of a sudden that creative side of your brain just goes, wake up. But you get so much out of it. It's so much fun as well.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make it fun. I didn't want it just to turn up and we all chat. And I mean, the number one rule was you're not allowed to talk about COVID. That's the only rule, basically. You can't talk about COVID. And it was a COVID-free zone. And then it was just, well, how am I going to make this interesting? So just came up with ideas. And I think the very first one, we did the idea of, the product, which comes from improv comedy, the 5-minute product, where you have to come up with a name for a mad product, name, strapline, jingle. And I've done that around the world, literally where people have to get up and sing the jingle in front of the I got a wonderful video from Australia with that. And the then how else can we do it? And Wendy's come in and shown us working with horses. Last week we had Iris with talking about. Sorry, the subject's gone out of my head, but it was fascinating listening. She was talking about when she heard it from Steve DeShazer, and I never met Steve DeShazer, and I always think, wow, the founder, and you've actually talked to him, been in his classes. So so we just try and shake it up a bit. And my fear every month is, will we come up with some new ideas? But Annie is brilliant at coming up with ideas. So so we kind of bounce off each other as well, and that really helps to come up. And she's a great presenter as well. So she just comes over. We're kind of opposite as well, which is good. So
no, you really do complement each other. Sorry, Joe.
I was just going to say, how do people join? I know it's the first Sunday in every month.
Yeah, we publicise it in LinkedIn, in our groups. We publicise it in the company pages for SFIO on Facebook. We publish it in Soul Worldless, in Solution Focus World in Facebook. Yeah, so in everywhere I can put an advert in for it, it goes in. So and that just helps. So it's every third Sunday. So the next one I think is the 20th of December, something like that. And we do Sundays just because it means we can get people from the Far East in, and we do 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning so that we can get people from the Far East in. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It sounds it.
It is.
I welcome everyone to come and join in. It's not just for SFIO, it's for anyone who loves SF, really.
Yeah, I mean, I benefit a lot, and I do recommend that as many of you join as possible. And it is very, like you said, it's not just for SF people, and I think that's another thing that I love about the SF approach is that you don't have to be a solution-focused practitioner or therapist to join these sorts of events, because it is, it's there's no technicality in it, there's no technical words in it. It really is just what it is.
Yeah, I guess, well, we have a couple of things, I suppose, best hopes, and which translated is not the easiest thing, in German or whatever.
But you can just jump into it without thinking.
You can jump in, and it's, if people say jargon like future perfect, or something, it's very easy to explain it. Well, to describe the preferred future or the best future or whatever. So, so I think that works from that point of view. We've had a few therapists come in actually recently, which is great, because typically, we've been solution focused in organizations, but we learn so much from each other, I think. So certainly I've learned a huge amount from working with Brief and doing their course. So it's very good.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so why do you think this approach has been so widely taken up? Because it's not just in family therapy where it originated. It's gone way beyond that now, hasn't it? To so many different fields.
It has. I guess it's more in the therapy, counseling, coaching areas that it's been taken up. Organizationally, it's a harder sell, I think, because people are so ingrained. I mean, we're working with scientists at the moment, and they're very problem focused, and that's natural. And so you really have to make the point that I said earlier about, this is not something to replace what you already do. If what you do is working and you're not having any relationship problems and you're achieving your task really efficiently, then great, carry on doing it. But hey, if you're getting stuck, but it's a harder sell than when you're working in therapy and you just realize that, wow, this is a much better way of helping people than getting them to talk about their problems. And that for me is, it makes so much common sense to say, why would we get someone to talk about their problems rather than talk about what they actually want and want to be different? And it's this. I think for me, the best thing about solution focus is the not knowing. I do not know your life, and you must deal with this a lot. I do not know your life. You must be the experts in your life, and I'm just going to ask you questions that can help you with that. That means we don't dance in their dance floor, as it were. It's they dance, not us. And you can do that with organizations, but it's not quite as easy to sell into organizations. But one day it will be. That's my mission, apart from getting everyone to write a book about SF, is to get it into organizations. And the nice thing is, what we see is that I did a piece of work with Chris Iveson, and we asked, so how did you hear about this? And he said, oh, my wife I think she was a speech therapist, and she uses it. And so we thought we might be able to use it in the company. So we just have to get all the managing directors in the world to marry speech therapists and counselors. That's it.
That's our next mission.
Our next mission, to set up the solution-focused marriage bureau.
Yeah, so we need to look for non-SF people, managers and businesses and all of that. Meets single SF people and kind of bring them together. Yeah,
single is quite useful.
Yeah.
We could end up in the wrong kind of newspapers.
Yeah, God, can you imagine that? The SF world has gone mad. But I love it.
I think a lot of people think we're mad anyway. But
are you hopeful for the future of solution focus, John? Is it something that you've?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's getting more and more traction, and the big thing for me is we've got to get young people, and that's why I support the schools network so much. I just. When we did the video with the school in Bath, forgive me, I've forgotten the name of it, Beechencroft? Yeah, Beechencroft.
It was Tara.
With Tara Gretton has done a fantastic job of introducing SF into that. And I just looked at them, and they had a young person there, and I just thought, this is fantastic. And when I saw these 4 sailors yesterday just talking about solution focus and how it helps them, I thought, these are the people we got to get. So, I'm working with another group, Anton Stellmans and Liselott Bayer and others, and we're running a training course next year for young people, which sadly was cancelled this year at the last minute by COVID. But we're running another one next year in Belgium with young people. And that is something I'm really interested in developing, is getting more and more young people. And, when you're my age, I suppose everybody's young, but we need a younger generation to be picking up on this and saying, you know what, this is a different way. And when I see the different worldview that young people have nowadays, I've got two young adults now, and they have a different worldview, and I think that's SF really fits with their worldview. And if we can just introduce it into schools more and more and more, and they learn it in schools and start using it, then I think we could be a lot better as a society. And that's really what I would like to see, is that society changes as a result of SF.
So in Belgium, John, will this be young people that are currently in education and then will support other young people?
They're typically, the age group is typically between about 23 and 35. So youngish. But I know I think it's in Finland, they run camps in the summer, SF camps, which is therapists do that. And they have a lot of really good people come in to teach young people SF by a lake in Finland somewhere. I'd love to go, actually. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, sounds brilliant.
Sounds brilliant, doesn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. God.
So so there's a lot of inspiring ideas there. There's a lot of inspiring people, and people like Jonas trying to do a social thing as well. I think there is a future. Maybe it'll take a little longer than I hope. But I hope to be around when it's just seen as mainstream, that companies just use it. It's not seen as an odd thing to do. It's just kind of, why wouldn't, and they'd be looking back and laughing. Why did they never use that in the past?
So if someone who works for a company is looking in now, why shouldn't they take it up? Why shouldn't they have a facilitator session with a solution focused practitioner? Well,
there's absolutely no reason. It's my view is, with companies, you hear so many companies saying, "Oh, our meetings are really boring. They're tedious." Blah. This whole thing about people are Zoom fatigue or Teams fatigue or Hang Up fatigue or whatever Google calls it nowadays, and to me, it's just that all we've done is transplant boring meetings from organisations.
Put them online.
There's people out there. I know Paul Jackson runs great meetings with online, and they're really interesting. From everything I've heard, so there's no reason why they shouldn't do it. And really, what I would say to any managing director is, why wouldn't you try it once? Yeah, just for the difference. Why wouldn't you try it once? And if you don't like it, if you think it's a waste of time, okay, but at least you tried it. And that would be my message to any managing director out there, or any level of leader, really.
Brilliant.
And if there are any managing directors watching this now or watch it on YouTube later on, how could they contact you?
To me, so you caught me on the hop there. They can drop me an email at hi at yesand.co.uk, and they'll get through.
Hi at yesand.
Oh, should I put it in the chat?
Yeah.
So I suppose I should have done, but
I can't keep up.
Shani does admin, John.
Yeah.
I can't even do that right.
You're teasing her a lot tonight, aren't you? So hi, there you go. I've done it for you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. So hi at yesand.co.uk, and very happy to speak to anyone about myself, and probably be very passionate about it as well. So
gotcha. Thank you very much. You've been an absolute superstar as always.
Thank you very much indeed. And I would like to say I know what you guys do, and I just think what you're doing is a fantastic job. And I'm so pleased to see Solution Focus being used to help families get over really difficult issues. So thank you for what you do. It's really good.
And can't wait to see
your community. I know you've been doing SF how long? 2 years, maybe?
2016.
Oh, right. So it's longer than I thought. I thought it was a couple of years. I guess you sort of came over to SFIO a little later, but I think the more organisations like yours that can become SF, I think is really important. So
we're spreading it as much as we can, John. Just planting those seeds and see what comes of it.
When you see people like Emma Burns in New Zealand and what she's doing and the way she's pushing it through, and the emergency services, and wow, what a fantastic job she's doing. Have you had her on your program already?
Yeah. And it's amazing because when you speak to people who are really pushing it, you feel the buzz. Come on, we can do it. And it that teamwork effort of just supporting your colleague, no matter where they are in the world, is just absolutely fascinating.
Absolutely.
And that's something we've definitely embraced with the SF community is the respect we have for each other, in terms of our professionalism and our work and what we're doing as human beings. But also when we're achieving, we are the first ones to compliment. Wow, brilliant! That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And can we help in any way? Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
Definitely.
So if there's any way I can help, just let me know.
Yeah, don't worry, John. All right.
We'll be in touch. When we
Yeah,
when we decide to look at the book we're going to write, we'll ask your opinion.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'll drop you a copy and let you see. So.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. Can you just stay there for a couple of minutes, John, and we'll say goodbye to everyone else. We'll see you guys Friday night at 7 p.m. for the big launch. Ooh. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, she's
disappeared, but we're still live, Joe.
She's disappeared. She's obviously, the admin has got too much for her, John.
Yeah. So,